The alphabet people. You know who I mean. Those people that took 20% of the alphabet for themselves. I'm talking about them L's and them B's and them G's and the T's.
Dave Chappelle, a comedian whose work doesn't just get laughs, it starts conversations. And sometimes, those conversations turn into controversy. From sold-out arenas, to walkouts, to global debates about comedy, free speech, and limits, Chappelle has spent the last few years at the center of one question: how far is too far?
A lot of people in the trans community were furious with me, and apparently they dragged me on Twitter. I don't give a because Twitter's not a real place.
For years, Chappelle had already built a reputation for pushing boundaries. But beginning in 2019, something about the reaction to his comedy started to change.
I have friends, all kinds of letters. Everybody loves me, and I love everybody. I got friends who are L's, I got friends who are B's, and I got friends who are G's. But the T's hate my guts. And I don't blame them. It's not their fault, it's mine. I can't stop telling jokes about these.
With the release of his Netflix special, Sticks and Stones, Chappelle leaned more directly into topics around identity, particularly gender, and the evolving expectations around what comedians can say.
What I didn't realize at the time, and what Kevin had to learn the hard way, is we were breaking an unwritten and unspoken rule of show business. The rule is that no matter what you do in your artistic expression, you are never, ever allowed to upset the alphabet people.
In the special, he questioned where those boundaries were being drawn and who gets to decide them. Some viewers saw the material as part of a long tradition in comedy, where difficult topics are explored through exaggeration. Others felt it crossed a line, arguing that certain jokes moved beyond commentary and into territory that could reinforce harmful ideas. And that divide would only grow.
You know, you hear all those letters together all the time, LBGT, LBGT, and you think it's just one big movement. It's not. All those letters are their own movement. They just travel in the same car together. I don't want to write these jokes, but I just can't stop.
In 2021, with the release of The Closer, the conversation reached a different level. In the special, Chappelle addressed gender identity directly, including a statement presenting his personal view on the topic.
That trans women aren't women. I am just saying that those that they got. You know what I mean?
The response was immediate. Organizations like GLAAD and the National Black Justice Coalition publicly criticized the special, arguing that it dismissed the experiences of transgender individuals and contributed to harmful narratives.
GLAAD issuing a statement saying, in part, Dave Chappelle's brand has become synonymous with ridiculing trans people and other marginalized communities. And from National Black Justice Coalition President David J. Johns, with 2021 on track to be the deadliest year on record for transgender people in the United States, the majority of whom are black transgender people, Netflix should know better. Netflix should immediately pull The Closer from its platform.
The backlash extended beyond viewers. In October 2021, Netflix employees staged a walkout, protesting the platform's decision to continue streaming the special.
Netflix, I'm done, declared Jacqueline Moore, former showrunner of the acclaimed series Dear White People, who told of her own transition during Pride Week on Netflix. I will not work with them as long as they continue to put out and profit from blatantly and dangerously transphobic content.
Netflix responded by standing behind Chappelle, stating that content on screen does not directly translate to real-world harm, and reaffirming their support for creative expression. And in that moment, the conversation became bigger than one comedian. It became a debate about comedy itself.
What do you think about the state of comedy today?
I think a lot of comedians have been leery, and I think that social media did not help, because if one person says, oh, she said one thing to offend me out of an audience of 1,000, and that one person puts that up and gets 600 likes, it's just out of control with social media.
She said that jokes are meant to tell the truth, and that's exactly what Dave Chappelle did. However, trans activist Diamond Styles says Dave Chappelle's jokes can be quite hurtful.
He's a comedian, and I understand this is their job, to be funny. And sometimes we all are going to be at the end of the negative side of somebody's jokes. But as we all know, jokes and opinions can be offensive. We have seen an uptick in the deaths of Black trans women. These things that we think is, oh, it's just a culture, or it's just jokes. They actually lead to people actually harming and disrespecting us in public in our real lives.
In our country, you can shoot and kill, but you better not hurt a gay person's feelings.
What stood out most was how Chappelle responded. He didn't issue a traditional apology. Instead, he continued addressing the criticism the same way he delivers everything else, on stage.
A lot of people in the trans community were furious with me, and apparently they dragged me on Twitter. I don't give a because Twitter's not a real place.
Throughout his performances, he referenced the backlash, responded to critics, and continued shaping the conversation through comedy. Not by stepping away from the material, but by engaging with it more directly.
Gay people get mad at me, lesbians get mad at me, but I'm gonna tell you right now, this is true. These transgenders, these want me dead.
By the time The Dreamer was released in 2023, his approach remained consistent. He continued to include material involving the LGBTQ+ community and expanded into other sensitive areas, including disability. Not as isolated moments, but as part of a style where no topic appears completely off limits.
I ain't doing trans jokes no more. You know what I'm gonna do tonight? Tonight, I'm doing your own handicap jokes. Well, they're not as organized as the gays. And I love punching down. There's probably a handicap in the back right now because that's where they usually make them sit.
The controversy began to affect where he could perform. Some venues canceled scheduled appearances, including a last-minute cancellation in Minneapolis in July 2022. The decision followed online backlash from staff, patrons, and members of the public who criticized the venue for booking Chappelle, pointing to his past material, particularly in his Netflix special, The Closer. Critics argued that his comedy conflicted with the values of the venue, which is LGBTQ-owned, hosts annual Pride events, and publicly aligns itself with that community. The show was later moved to a different venue in Minneapolis, where Chappelle ultimately performed. And during a performance at the Hollywood Bowl that same year, the situation escalated in a different way. While performing at the Netflix is a Joke festival, Chappelle was rushed on stage by an audience member and briefly tackled to the ground before security intervened. The attacker was not officially linked to the broader controversy surrounding his material. However, in the aftermath, Chappelle made remarks suggesting the attacker identified as transgender, a claim that drew additional attention and added another layer to an already tense conversation surrounding his work.
It was a trans man.
And yet, despite all the backlash, his career hasn't slowed down. His shows continue to sell out, his specials have received major awards, and viewership remains strong. Which raises a larger question: whether controversy actually limits a career or becomes part of what sustains it.
I've been trying to repair my relationship with the transgender community because I don't want them to think that I don't like them. And you know how I've been repairing it? I wrote a play. I did, because I know that gays love plays. It's a very sad play, but it's moving. It's about a Black transgender woman whose pronoun is sadly nigger.
At the center of all of this isn't just one comedian or one set of jokes. It's a broader conversation about who decides the boundaries of comedy, how audiences respond, and where the line between humor and offense is drawn. And whether that line is fixed or constantly shifting.
What are some jokes Dave makes that is the line for you?
There is no line. If I give Dave a line, I have a line. I don't have a line. So I'm just looking at it from the whole picture. I have 3 dogs in this fight. I am Black, I am transgender, and I am a stand-up comedian.
Dave Chappelle has faced criticism for years, and his comedy has often divided opinion. Some believe his jokes cross the line. Others believe that line is exactly what he's supposed to challenge, and that tension is something that has followed him throughout his career. walking the line between laughter and discomfort, truth and offense, freedom and consequence.
Gender is a fact. You have to look at it from a woman's perspective. Look at it like this. Caitlyn Jenner, whom I've met, wonderful person. Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman. Ain't that something? Gender is a fact. This is a fact. Every human being in this room, every human being on earth had to pass through the legs of a woman to be on earth. That is a fact.
Do you think Dave Chappelle goes too far sometimes? Or is that exactly what makes his comedy powerful? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you made it this far, make sure you hit that like button. And if you're watching on TV, grab your phone and like the video there too. And don't forget to subscribe to Hollywood Zoomed In,